time to check your money with America's money maven, Vicki Brackens. Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial, member SIPC. Vicki, good morning.
Good morning to everyone there in Syracuse. As you know, George, I'm down here in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, a little bit south of Syracuse, actually going through what I would call my pump up for 2020.
Okay.
I have been spending time with three amazing individuals, looking at new strategies and refining strategies that I can use in my own personal life and personal business. And I'm going to kind of do a little teaser and share with everyone before we go back to some of the things that we talked about over the last couple of weeks. So anyway, I attended for a day and a half an incredible workshop and intensive with Dr. Pamela C.V. Jolly, which I've been talking to everybody about.
Right.
I'm sure, George, you have started reading your book, right?
Yes, go ahead, Vicki, keep going.
Okay. So to remind everyone, this was the week that we should start reading The Narrow Road, A Guide to Legacy Wealth. I'm actually here and have been here in Philadelphia with the author and the founder of Torch Enterprises, Dr. Pamela C. Jolly. With her is her colleague that I had not met yet, but had the pleasure of spending a tremendous amount of time with, and that's Dr. Stacy N.C. Grant. So I'm adding a name to the list here.
Okay.
He's the founder and CEO of Destiny Designers University. Listen to this. The Faithpreneur movement. Now, both of them, and having two women like this in the room at the same time is kind of like what you say. You know, you're going to blow the top off the building.
Sure.
And that's how I felt all day yesterday. But just to recap, this was what was classified as being the Reset 2020 for the intensive that I attended, which was a very select group of business owners here across the Northeast, and we concentrated on 5 steps. So I'm going to share just the top line of those 5 steps because they dovetail so nicely into all of the conversations that we've had over the years.
Well, Vicki, before you continue, you said you were in the room with other business women. We should say they were in the room with you, one of the 25 most influential black women in America. Just let's get that straight. Okay.
Sure. Okay. Thank you so much.
All right.
Looking at the 5 key components, here's what. Okay, you might want to get a pencil and jot these down.
I got my pen out.
Okay, 5 key components to creating sustainable, and that's the thing that I really want us to look at going forward. We're talking about sustainable wealth creation, the sustainable process to creating wealth versus just the tactics of creating wealth. And here are the 5 steps that you have to consider in each decision that you make. Do you have a clarity of vision? Do you have the confidence to pursue the dream? Do you have the capacity to execute the mission? Have you decided what is most important to you? Are you connected? Do you remember that question we always ask? What's important about money to you? Are you connected to what's most important to you? And are you committed? Do you have the commitment to see it through? Now, that's a platform that Dr. Jolly has developed that dovetails completely into her research on building legacy wealth and is outlined fully there within the book, The Narrow Road, which is what we will be discussing and using as our background for much of our discussion for this year. So just remember those 5 things that you ask yourself anytime you're trying to make a decision relative to a strategy that you're employing.
So
have I covered these 5 things and made sure that I've asked those and answered those questions?
Clarity of vision, confidence, capacity. Yes. What's important, focusing on what is most important, and are you committed?
are you committed? Okay. So let's talk about our exercise, our charge, our responsibility the last 2 weeks, which was looking at and tackling our debt structures for 2020. So everybody by now, I am sure, has gone through to do these 5 things. We wanted to make sure that you had organized the debt, meaning go find out where all of it is. Go find the mail, open up all the envelopes.
That's right.
Organize all the debt so that it's all there in front of you. You were creating a chart, and in that chart, which I will ask you to do longhand, in that chart, you would have now written down, who do I owe? Is it Capital One, Key Bank, Macy's, whatever? A whole list of who do I owe? Next column, how much do I owe? What is the current balance? Next column, what's the monthly required payment? Next column, what is the interest rate? And then the final column, if that debt happens to be what I would call timed debt, has a specific time before, as far as when it would be paid off, say like your mortgage, over 30 years, or your car, things of that nature, we needed to know when the debt was taken out and what's the terminal date. When will it be paid off?
Sure.
All right?
Right.
So you got that chart, right, George?
Yeah, it's right there, right in front of me. Lies. We're still working on it. We're working on it, Vicki. We're working on it.
Okay, well, we got to stop working on it.
I know that's right.
Okay.
That's right. The next time you ask me, there won't be a question about it.
Okay, great. Okay. So last week we added an exercise because we know that we need to have the fuel. This kind of dovetails into some of the capacity issues to start tackling the debt. And I asked you, since you had all the bills out, to go through every bill over the last 2 or 3 months, line by line, as far as the transactions were concerned, so that we can employ what I call the reverse subscription process. Find those things that you were paying automatically every month that are on your credit card statement or in your transaction records as far as your banking statement, to see if those things that are being paid off automatically, if they really apply as far as having value for you.
Right.
So if you opened up those apps and you signed up for this $2 thing here or this $10 thing there, and it's still running on your credit card, and you haven't been over to the gym. Don't tell JT you haven't been over to the gym in 6 weeks. Okay, all those things that we are paying for automatically, make some decisions around the value of those things to you. Get clear about why you were doing it, and if there's something that should not be continuing, then cancel it. We need to create additional capacity. We need to create additional revenue so we can start tackling some of these bills. So this week, you should be able to go into your chart, now that we have all of those elements identified, along with the element of having any additional or extra money floating out there that we can use, you should be able to go into your chart, and I want you to pull up every credit card statement that you had one more time and look for a little box on that credit card statement that's required these days that says, how long would it take me to pay off this bill if I continue to pay the minimum payment?
Just the minimum payment. Right.
Minimum payment.
And if you look at and make sure, and we've already cataloged the interest rate, so we already know that. But that's a very, because you look at it, some of it is like 7 months, and you can do it in like a couple of weeks if you really wanted to.
Exactly. Okay. So I want you to identify and put into your chart, based on the current pattern of payments that I have as far as using the minimum payment, how long is it going to take me to pay this off? Because we need to get really clear on the vision. So sometimes it says 25 years, right, George?
Right.
And do I really want to be saddled with this debt for the next 25 years based on my behavior, based on how I am paying this bill?
Right.
So we want to go through and I want you to visually see what is going to take in time against your life to pay this bill off if I continue to pay it at the minimum payment rate or somewhere close to it.
I think we talked about this before, Vicki, but isn't there, and when we say pay off debt, it's debt that's not accumulating assets. Is that what we're talking about? Is there, because what I'm getting at is there is such a thing as good debt, right?
Everything.
Mm-hmm.
I want you to no, not just what, we have this term good debt, bad debt. No,
right.
no.
You're not trying to hear that. Okay.
No, I want you to see everything.
Mm-hmm.
So that we have because in order to fully create our net worth statement, which we've talked about, year after year, it's assets minus liabilities. The debt is a liability, no matter what category it falls into. This exercise is about getting a very, very clear vision and understanding of what debt structures we have in total.
Sure.
Okay, if you have student loans, that's got to go on there. If you have Parent Plus loans, that's got to go on there. Everything, okay? If you made a pledge to your church, that's a debt.
Your tithe and your offerings, yes.
No, not tithe and offerings. That's totally different.
Mm-hmm.
If you made a pledge.
Oh, pledge is different. A pledge is different. But you don't want to, because you're saying why would that be different than a tithe and an offering? Isn't that something you got to?
Offering is like your weekly obligation or monthly obligation that you have for paying your gas and electric.
All right. So you're looking at it that way. All right.
Exactly. Okay. You pledge to your congregation or to your charity or whatever is a promise to pay X amount over a period of time, very similar to your mortgage.
Mm-hmm. That's like if you're doing something to the building fund or something like that. Gotcha. Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. Okay. So we want to when we finish this exercise this week, we want to see a complete picture, a complete visual of here are the obligations. Here's my debt. This is what I owe. Because tackling that and putting in the last piece of the puzzle, which we'll be discussing next week, as far as how to make the commitment to see this through and get this paid off, is going to be a matter of math, and we've got to have all of the numbers in front of us.
All right.
Before we do the calculation properly. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So finally, this is a little bit of a teaser. Well, first of all, I shouldn't do teasers until I make sure that we remind everybody that on the 23rd, party time. Looking forward to seeing everybody there at
February 23rd.
23rd at 4:30 at the Marriott.
Downtown Syracuse.
Downtown Syracuse, for the 12th annual Black History Month Jazz Cabaret, sponsored by Brackens Financial Solutions Network in conjunction with the Syracuse Jazz Foundation. Jasmine Gint, along with Gerald Beasley, you should go out to cnyjazz.org if you still need tickets. I think there's still a few available.
All right,
get that done.
All right, Vicki, we're out of time, so let's get to the tease.
All right then, and here's the tease. Pick up this new book. Okay, this is by Don Graves, who I also met with while I was here. He's a leading expert on HECM reverse mortgages, how to use housing wealth to create a legacy, to create retirement income. I'm sure I'm going to have Don on sometime in the future. Might even try and tease everybody up to Syracuse, all three of these individuals. And this is what I call a power pack.
That's what we need to do.
Okay, I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Tell everyone, if you need to reach us, reach out on info@brackensfsn.com or subscribe to us on YouTube at Brackens Financial Solutions Network, and I'll say our plate is full.
All right, Vicki Brackens is the president of Brackens Financial Solutions Network, LLC, and a registered representative of LPL Financial.